Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of healthy body enzymes. I know you're going, Andre, what are you talking about? Everything in the body has a purpose, even things as enzymes. They can also be a life-threatening situation if you don't have it. Today on the show, we have a doctor who actually had to understand the importance of gut health and the importance of certain enzymes because it almost took her life. I'd like to welcome to the show Dr. Ellen Cutler. How you doing, doctor?
Great. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's talk a little bit about who Dr. Cutler is before we get on this journey of enzymes.
Yes. Well, I'm a chiropractor. I also have a medical degree. I've been in practice for many decades. I won't say how long, you know how old I am. But I still practice I have a full practice here in Mill Valley, California.
Okay.
And I first became a chiropractor, and then as I went through chiropractic school, ever since I was a little girl, I always had digestive issues. I was always bloated, had trouble with foods, and I couldn't really talk to my parents about it. Like you said, it wasn't life-threatening to them. To me, it was a burden.
Okay.
And then when I started my professional training, I had to go to school and support myself. So I had to go to school, work at night, and then come home and study. Hardly slept. And my symptoms just got worse. And I literally could only eat one food a day, which was grapes. And that's all I could live on. Everything else just upset my stomach, cramps, bloating, etc.
Doctor, what do you mean?
I finished chiropractic school.
Doctor, what do you mean when you say your symptoms got worse?
It got worse. I think because the lack of sleep, the stress of school, studying, you know what it's like, going into a professional school. And, when I went to school, there were 80 students and only 8 of us were women. And only 3 of us ended up graduating. So it was a very different life, different times when I was in school. But it got worse. I mean, I couldn't eat anything. And then I went through school, finished, and then I had my first child, and then I did a postgraduate course in orthopedics, probably because I was a thirst for knowledge. I wanted as much as I could. And my symptoms got worse. One of the mentors that taught that course said to me, Dr. Ellen, did you ever hear of digestive enzymes? And at that time, nobody heard of an enzyme, especially a digestive enzyme. It was not on the radar.
Right.
And he said, you are carbohydrate intolerant, which means, and I was a vegetarian. Now I'm a vegan. I had been a vegan for years and years.
Right.
So all I ate was basically carbs. And they just fermented because I didn't digest them. And so he said, try this full spectrum digestive enzyme. And literally within 2 weeks after taking that enzyme with every meal, I never had a problem again.
Wow.
My life was saved.
What was the enzyme? Was it papaya enzyme?
It was a full spectrum. It digested protein, a vegetarian enzyme, protein, carbohydrates, fats, and fiber.
Mm.
And it's a plant enzyme. So there's nothing else in it except that, because I don't think I could tolerate anything else. And by the way, I was diagnosed with colitis and maybe ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune problem.
Right.
So it was a miraculous for me. That's why my book is, so what I did is I had a chiropractic practice. So I thought, because I saw all kinds of other symptoms that changed. My hair, my nails, my skin, my hormones, my energy. It was, it was a change in my health on all levels. So I decided my chiropractic practice, I don't care if anybody came in with a sprained ankle or a headache or a low back problem, I gave them a digestive enzyme. And I saw miracles.
Really?
That's why I wrote the book, Micro Miracles, because I wanted to let people know that it's not only what you eat, it's what you digest and what you absorb. So you can spend all this money buying all this organic food.
Mhm.
If you're not digesting that food, it's not doing you the good that it should be.
Is there a difference, doctor, with different nutritional regimens that people undergo? Because we hear the Atkins diet, we hear the ketose diet. I'm carb sensitive, so as a professional bodybuilder, I pretty much know my body, and I know the importance of having digestive enzymes. But how does that affect people's digestive tract, that with all the different regimens that are out there now, high protein diets, no carb diet, vegetarian, vegan, lactose tolerant? How does not understanding your enzymes, how does that play in this role?
That's a great question. Everybody needs digestive enzymes, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many reasons for that too. So no matter what diet you are on, your body will do much better with taking a digestive enzyme, especially if you're on an Atkins diet, if you're eating all this protein, because eating all that protein and or fat and not digesting is very hard on the system, especially the liver, the microbiome, and there's some toxicity that can occur because your liver's overloaded with it. So those people really need to take the enzyme. So what happens is if you don't digest your food, undigested food can seep into the bloodstream, especially if you have a leaky gut or you eat foods that cause that leakiness. When it's in the bloodstream, the immune system will cite that undigested food as an antigen and create an immune complex that could travel and also hang out in different parts of the body. So everybody, like after 55, has some arthritic conditions, but not everyone has inflammation and pain. A large part of that or reason is some undigested food or toxins that the immune recognizes. And when it situates itself, let's say in joints, there's something called mimicry. The immune system will not only attack that antigen, it'll attack the tissues that resemble that antigen as well and cause inflammation and pain. And there you go. Now you're debilitated at 56 or 60 years old because of what foods you're eating that you're not digesting, and it becomes a toxic issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah. How does this relate to the lymphatic system as well? The lack of digestive enzymes, the wrong food choices. How does this play as it works with the lymphatic system? Does it affect it? Does it compromise? What's going on there?
Yes. One of the things I have a method called ECM, that's an energetic testing and clearing technique in healing. And I think it's one of the most unique, revolutionary techniques out there because I've spent years and years putting it together. So one of the things I do, so this is a good question, is look at organ detox, specific organ detox. And there's many organs that detox. We have the lymph, we have the lungs, we have the skin, we have the colon too, and we have the respiration, which I mentioned, and the kidneys. So what I do is look at when you're not, so for people who don't digest, they tend to have some issues with detoxification, yes. So I look and see which of those organ detox specifically are compromised. And lymph does often show up. And that could look like swelling, edema in different parts of the body. It can cause fatigue and cause headaches. It could also affect the skin, and it also affects your immune system as well, that you're more maybe susceptible to other pathogen or other illnesses as well. So lymph is definitely something that comes up too, for sure.
Is this one of the reasons that most people suffer from one of the most common, I guess, will be gout, your uric acid in the feet and swellness and stuff because of the lack of the enzymes in the gut as well?
That is, so lack of enzymes, that is definitely something that could come up with gout for sure. And of course, people who are eating, more meat or alcohol tend to have more symptoms of that, but that's an arthritic condition. So yes, just like we were talking about, because some people might have high uric acid, but it doesn't mean they have gout. But the inflammatory reaction, yes, I believe that that can be an issue for that as well, too.
How are you determining that? That's pretty neat how you said that. You know that the lack of a particular amino acid, or I'm not amino acid, but enzyme in the gut can trigger different effects on different parts of the body. How are you determining this? Is this through blood work, or how do you determine which part of the body is being affected?
So that's where my ECM technique comes into play. So if somebody comes into me and they're having joint inflammation, they're having swelling, edema, they're having headaches, I look at those symptoms, and in the ECM evaluation, I look and see what is the underlying aspect, root causes of those symptoms. The first thing I look at is how the body's detoxifying, what organ specifically is not working as well as it should. Then I look at their digestive stress, which means what foods they're not digesting, because some people are more intolerant to protein, carbs like you and me.
Mhm.
Some are fat. Some people can't digest anything
Right.
too. So I look at that, and then I recommend a digestive enzyme. And then I look at other aspects that could be involved. What foods they're sensitive to, intolerant, not so much allergy, but intolerant. If there's a pathogen, if there's an emotional issue, be surprised how many emotional issues can underline, which you're probably aware of, other health issues. These are what I can look at too. There has to be some trauma. Is there some brain chemicals? And then, of course, looking at the whole microbiome, the gut, the health of the gut. You're as healthy as your gut is. I know for myself, and I remember it so well, that when your gut is unhappy, it's hard to function. It's hard to work, hard to take care of children.
Mhm.
It's hard to put a smile on your face. So when the gut is happy, your body is, all the cells in your body are lighting up happier.
You My hats off to you for recognizing this and starting and developing awareness with your treatment plan. If I'm at home, what are some of the signs as people are listening to this that should make them contact you or go to their local hospital or whatever to seek treatment and address these type of things? Because a lot of times when people go to the hospital for stomach pains and stuff, they're not treated as intensely as you are. So if I'm going in there, what should I tell my doctor to make him become a little bit more aware or to check my gut? What should the people tell their physician?
First of all, look at my website, drellencutler.com. I have many newsletters over the couple of years that maybe will focus on what your situation is, give
Mhm.
you some ideas of what you can tell your doctor
Right.
too. That will help. And so look at my website. I have other books too. I have a lot on my website you can read as well. But I think what when you go to a doctor, I think what is important for them to maybe relay to them is what foods they're eating. People, what's at the end of your fork is most important. If you're living on processed foods and you're living on refined carbs and sugars, whether you're going to have those health issues now, you will have them in the future.
Right.
This is what these doctors should be educators. They should be healers. They shouldn't be giving out drugs all the time. They should look at this is what I do. And I teach my work to healthcare practitioners. Actually, I'm teaching now to everyone who wants to learn. It's about health. It's about what you're putting in your mouth, what you're digesting, how your bowel movements are, how your kidneys are working too. What is your energy level? Are you exercising too? Do you have some times in your life where you meditate, you calm too? These are things that should be discussed when you go to see a doctor. Right. They're never discussed.
And I think probably the reason for that is like you said, we don't have the tools to know. I mean, our tools are old school teachings that haven't evolved, or we haven't taken time to really understand. So what are some of the foods that you would recommend to help improve the development of proper enzymes in the stomach, to help the stomach work in conjunction with the right pathogens to help with a healthy gut?
I recommend at least 70% of your diet should be vegetables, should be a whole food diet. That 70%, okay? So including more vegetables, including more nuts and seeds are good for people too, as well. Get those omega-3s, those good fatty acids are important for the nervous system. Look into maybe some green powders like spirulina or blue-green algae or chlorella are good to start incorporating that. If you hate the taste, you can take them in capsules, but you'll develop a taste to that too as well. And being a variety, look at the colors of what you're eating. Eat a salad every day. Drink more water and eat less. You should be 80% full, not 100% full. There's so much data out there,
right,
that says the key to longevity is good digestion and not eating as much. Maybe learn about intermittent fasting, or try it a couple of days a week and see what you feel like. You might be hungry at first, but your body will adapt. And exercise, get some good exercise, do some HIIT, high intensity, as well as endurance and then strengthening exercise. These are all important for the health, your well-being, and for longevity.
You mentioned spirulina, high protein source. I used that years and years ago. But when you talk about a lot of the 70%, that's a pretty significant number when it comes to vegetables. But let's turn back a little bit. You recommended that, but what about the individuals that have medical issues, like that are insulin resistant, that are blood sugar levels are out of whack, high blood pressure? How does this regimen that you're talking about, how is it going to help them to hopefully get off of their medication and get back to getting their blood sugars and stuff where they need to be?
There's been so much written about a vegan diet and helping people with glucose intolerance, insulin resistance, and type 2 diabetes.
Right.
And I'm not telling people go off medication, but there's so much. And again, one of my newsletters, a couple of newsletters touch on that as well. So I believe a vegan diet, I've seen it in my practice, I see it in myself, is key to not only overcoming some chronic health issues or maintaining it, but it will help your body maintain its wellness and its energy level And you will see differences in your blood sugar. I know it will.
You've seen a lot of people that's coming into your practice that's partaking in your methods. What were some of the symptoms that these individuals were coming to you with, that the changing of their gut factor completely transformed? Like, what are some of the cases?
Of course, any symptom can be related to gut. But I see over the years, I've seen a lot of people with irritable bowel symptoms, irritable bowel, which is, whether you have severe diarrhea one day and then you're constipated the next day, and it's just never happy. Or inflammatory bowel, which is what I was diagnosed with, colitis too. But people will have energy issues. They will have a lot of gas. They will have headaches too, that can do that too. Skin issues too. And not having enough energy, not being able to exercise. These can all be affected by an imbalanced microbiome or microbiota or gut issues. Yes, definitely. And the thing is too, people take so many different supplements, and it's not that I'm opposed to them, but many of these supplements they're sensitive to, they're not even doing that much for them.
Really?
I like to look at foods. Look at the foods you can eat too.
Right.
Like people who have blood pressure problems, beets are a great food for that. I have high nitric oxide, which helps dilate blood vessels and will help reduce blood pressure. Hibiscus tea is excellent. There's lots of things I talk about in my book too, and talk about in my newsletters on my website as well too. So instead of taking, because if you read, you'll end up with so many supplements and very little money.
Right. So what do you think about it's mentioning supplements, that the new supplements now is everybody's like putting a scoop of this in there and they got like all the vitamins, all the vegetables, yada yada yada.
Oh yeah, we see that on TV all the time.
Yeah,
Also,
what's your take on that? Like,
the jury's out for me on that. There used to be products a long time ago that they asked me to represent that were similar to that. Why not just eat vegetables? Why do you need to take those supplements? That's just what I ask. That just comes to mind too, And I'm always unsure that what's in there is really true.
yeah,
And are there any other
fillers
added that they put in there that people have trouble with, for sure? Like there's so much MSG, glutamate, that kind of thing, which is a neurotoxin. And some people are so allergic to it. And sometimes it's hidden in there. You don't even know. When I do my testing, I sometimes find them. And that can make it can cause severe headaches and all kinds of other symptoms. So not sure. I'm not putting it down. I'm just not a fan yet.
I think that this is probably a question for you as well. I'm noticing on the television now, I'm from old school. I like to go in the kitchen and cook and make sure everything is where it needs to be, the right kind of spices and so forth. Now there seems to be an explosion to where now we've become so accustomed to getting our food coming to us now. I'm seeing so many like prepackaged food that looks great, but I'm still worried about how it was processed. And you hear this, it's not flash frozen, it's delivered. Well, I don't. What's your take on all this?
I'm completely on your page with that. I'm a little skeptical too. I don't use them, and patients ask me, "What, Dr. Cutler, what do you think about this?" All these, there's so many, every day there's a new diet or a new package, whatever,
Right.
Look, sometimes it's a good way for them to jumpstart a new change in their lifestyle. So, like something like the Prolon work.
Right.
Prolon, you probably heard of it, 5 days.
Mhm.
I've seen great results with it with people. you
Mhm.
know? So and it just helps them reduce some fat. It helps them change their eating habits. But then I know people go right back to the same old diet right afterwards, you know? What is that? That's not helpful, you know? So,
What do you
you know,
think
when
is
you
the biggest
take
problem?
what I love about what I do, when you take a digestive enzyme,
Right.
you crave foods less because you're digesting it and you're getting the nutrients from the foods. That helps because a lot of people can't stay on diets because they crave food so much. And there's a lot of reasons, a lot of emotional stuff relative to that, you know, they need that dopamine effect, etc. But when you digest your food and then the ECM work, my technique helps to clear and desensitize you to some things too. Really helps reduce that cravings. That makes a big difference.
You talked about the two bodies.
Say that again.
You talked about the two bodies, the energetic, the energy, and the blah.
Yes.
Tell the viewers
So,
about
you
that a
know,
little
we
bit.
have our physical body, we have our energy body. I always say to people, most people will have like an intuition, somebody's going to call and somebody calls,
Right.
or you're in a party and there's some people you feel great with and there's some people you don't want to associate with. This is all energy. So what the work I do, and this is established, very scientific, it's been proven, it's been worked on. There's a program that I use, an instrument that I use, it's called the Avatar, actually, in combination with a computerized program that I developed that gets to the core of what is going on with you. So if you came in, let's say, with migraine headaches, you've tried every bleeping medicine, nothing's worked. You tried every supplement, nothing's worked. You still have these migraines. Based on that, I can evaluate what are the underlying reasons for it. It
Really?
could be foods, which people don't look at. It could be emotions. It could be environmental. It could be something in you. It could be mold in your house or chemicals you're exposed to. Also,
Mm-hmm.
it could be a virus that you're lingering that you had maybe when you were 5 and still bothering you too. I look at all sorts. It's an in-depth evaluation. And then based on that, I have a way to clear those sensitivities so that you can wake up maybe a week later or a few days later and not have migraines.
Wow. What do you
And it
think?
always includes a digestive enzyme, by the way.
Before we wrap up, this is another question I need to ask. Why do you think a lot of is not? Why do you think we as individuals aren't paying attention to something as important as gut health? Because we hear it all the time. We know that everything goes through the guts. I'm like you when it comes to the prepackaged stuff. Hey, if it's going to help you to jumpstart, then go for it. But nothing beats whole natural processing and making your food the way it's supposed to be, drinking your water. But why do you think we're having such a hard time changing our habits?
That's a great question. And I think it's very individual too. But I think there's a lot of emotional issues. A lot of people are depressed. There's a lot of stress too. And we watch this stupid TV that not only one commercial after another about drugs, about bad foods, we're bombarded by it. Talk about energetically, we're bombarded by all of that too, as well. And we also need to be educated young, and we need parents. If you're a child, we need parents that follow it. They're your role models. They expect you to eat well, but you're eating that junk food. That's not good too. And and again, when your body's out of balance, you crave those bad foods.
Hmm.
You're not happy. Your whole body's image, everything about you is, you know, you're angry, you're this, you're that, you know. When your body's more balanced, you feel better, you know. But it's always hard to try something new.
Right.
It's easy to when you're doing it and you got it. But please, out there, try something new. Try a digestive enzyme. Try eating 70% vegetables or whole plant food diet. You will see the changes. You'll feel so much better. Your life will change in so many ways
How
too.
can the viewers get a copy of your book? How can they get your treatment? How can they talk to you to start a road to developing great health, great development in their gut so they can live a healthier life and create that universal energy that we all need.
You can, my website is drellencutler.com. And again, I have lots of information on there and ways to learn my technique. If you're interested in learning, I have another seminar coming up in a couple of months too. And like yesterday, I had a follow-up with some of the people there and they said, Dr. Cutler, this is the most amazing thing I've ever learned in my life. If I told you a story, I could sit and tell you hours of testimonials.
Right.
And tears would be coming out of your eyes. I have a bubble boy, basically. He was a bubble boy that could go anywhere. And now his life is changed around 13 years old. It's incredible. So, and my new book that was just updated, Micro Miracles, Discover the Healing Power of Enzyme. You can buy it on my website, on Amazon, and I am available to help you live a healthier, happier life, and in many, many, many different ways.
Doctor, leave the viewers with that beast mindset that you definitely have thrown out there. Thank you for coming on the show and spreading this important message. But close the show out. Leave the viewers with something that keeps you going every day.
Say that again, sorry.
Oh, I said leave the viewers with a message that keeps you going every day in that beast mindset.
Yeah. I get up in the morning, I get very early, I exercise, and I write down what I'm grateful for. And I write my intention down for that day. And I never miss taking my digestive enzyme too. And I'm always smiling because, you know, when you smile, you feel better. And when you sit up straight, you feel better too. So these are little tidbits. And I love vegetables.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been no other than Dr. Elaine Cutler on the Andre the Beast Crayton show.